Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 4 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go to Indianapolis in both the Xfinity Series and in the Cup Series, where we had subscriber Billy Gregory in the car for our Xfinity Series race here. He started about in the midfield as kind of the usual for our team this season. Hopefully, obviously we're in a must-win situation to make the playoffs, which is likely not going to happen here today in Indianapolis, but hopefully next season we have the car at the beginning of the season that will be good enough to be able to rally ourselves into that playoff grid on points. But obviously, this is a big episode here today in Indianapolis, as there's two drivers that will be fighting for that final playoff spot between William Byron and Kyle Larson in the Cup Series. But there we had Billy getting passed by Justin Allgaier at this point in the race. He actually got into the back of Ross Chastain as he went down this front straightaway, and as he came through now to the final lap, he had also lost his spot to Jeremy Clements in the 51 cars. He went down this front straightaway for the final time as he would cross the line just behind that 51 of Jeremy Clements there. So a decent run for us as we got P15 here in Indianapolis, as Brandon Jones somehow won. So we come to Cup Series qualifying though here for Indianapolis, and we would cross the line with a 51.603 and go P7 here for the Brickyard 400. Can we get a crown jewel at the Brickyard 400? We're about to find out. And on the pole, no surprise, it's Kyle Busch for the regular season finale.
NASCAR makes its way to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Big Machine Vodka Brickyard 400. It's always great coming back here, and this is the final stop of the regular season. So for those drivers on the outside looking in, kissing the bricks would sure feel good today.
Alright, we're ready to go green here at the Brickyard 400. Thank you to Rick Allen. Now, as we had Matt Tifft starting in the back after a transmission replacement, and William Byron, the last driver in the playoffs, comes into this race 17 points to the good over Kyle Larson. He crashed during qualifying. He is now starting at the back, so now it's going to really spice up that battle for the last spot in the playoffs between the 24 car and the 42 of Byron and Larson, as a green flag is out, and the regular season finale is underway as Kyle Busch leads the way as he leads this field down towards these first few corners. Denny Hamlin up there on the front row with Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. in the mix as well, as his three JGR drivers up in that top three. Denny Hamlin just got his first win of the season a few races ago at Bristol Motor Speedway. Now as we go down through turns 2 on the inside of the 22 of Joey Logano, going a little bit wide into the corner, but no harm done now as we go down this back straightaway for the first time. But obviously the big story is William Byron, 17 points to the good to start this race, but starting at the back of the field is a huge opportunity for the 42 of Kyle Larson to fight his way in on points. If Kyle Larson would have spent the first part of the season not trying to wreck me, he probably would have been blowing William Byron away at this point on the point situation, and it would have been William Byron the first guy out. Instead, now he's coming through turns 4 up to P5 on this opening lap as Kyle Busch leads the way down this front straightaway. He's obviously got 9 wins on the season. He's already locked up the regular season championship, so at the end of this episode he's going to get a ton of playoff points again that you will see at the end of the video. Now he's go down into turns 1, actually giving up that inside to Alex Bowman as we came through the center of the corner, heading down the little short stretch towards turns 2. So a bit of a mistake on my part, leaving that bottom open, and then Truex would actually pounce on Kyle Busch, and then everyone would pounce on Kyle Busch. Kyle fell all the way down to P5 as we were now trying to pass him for that 5th position as we came out of turn 2. Denny Hamlin at this point leading over Alex Bowman. Martin Truex Jr. up there, as well as Logano was just behind us, but I was finding it really hard to pass here at Indianapolis, especially when we started to get a little bit more spread out as I continued to try and work on passing that 18, but the car was starting to get loose on me and he was keeping me pinned down that I just could not make the pass on the 18 to Kyle Busch as we're sliding on the exit of turn 3. That allows Joey Logano now to get to my outside as we came through the center of the corner, and then he would pass me as we came out of turns 4. So certainly dealing with some handling issues at this point as we came through now on lap 6. You see me sliding on the exit of turn 4, Kurt Busch just behind as he was showing quite a bit of speed as this first stage started to roll on. Now as we go down through crossing the line here, hitting lap 7 of 11 in the first stage, Kurt Busch obviously able to make the pass on me as we nearly clipped the wall there going down into turns 1. So we lose another position, and the car was just starting to get looser and looser as the stage went on. We came through now on the end of lap 7, clipping the apron just a little bit now sideways on the exit of turn 4, just a tiny bit, and then our teammate Kevin Harvick would be able to get past as well now as I try to get down in his draft. Keselowski gets to my outside, and obviously I know what the car was driving like, so I didn't want to mess anyone over, so I let off the throttle a little bit early to just kind of let Keselowski get the position. I did not want to be in the way, but then we dropped down to P10, and Kyle Larson was closing in on me very quickly as we came through now on lap 9 of 11 in the stage. You see me slipping and sliding on the exit of turn 1. We clip the wall there on the exit of the corner as we go down into turns 2, and Kyle Larson is loving what he sees because he needs every point possible. You see how much I'm sliding on the exit of the corner, and then sure enough we come through now into turns 4, just barely clipping the apron again, and we nearly get in the wall, hitting it with the right rear, and that allows Kyle Larson to pounce on us now as we go down this front straightaway. He would be able to take over the 10th position as we came through to cross the line with 2 to go. And as we came through towards the end of lap 10, someone had actually been coming to the pit lane due to an issue, and that would bring out a caution, and then that would jump us up 1 position. It was Martin Truex Jr. who's coming onto the pit lane, and that advances Kyle Larson a position as well, so the stage ends a lap early. Kyle Larson gets 2 points at the end of the stage. William Byron starting in the back gets no points. We would make a wedge adjustment and get ready to go green here for stage 2. With the 2 points Kyle Larson just collected, he goes from 17 points out to now 15 points out as the second stage is underway. If Larson gets more stage points here, this is going to be a huge opportunity to maybe condense that gap to William Byron going into the third and final stage now, as obviously the race is led by Denny Hamlin here as he exits turn 1. Hamlin has certainly stepped up his performance recently, and kind of our teammate Clint Bowyer has as well. As obviously the silly season rumor right now is that Bowyer might be replaced by myself. It's just kind of an inter-team thing, but we're still not 100% sure yet. Now as we split the middle between the 31 and the 42 of Larson and Tyler Reddick as we go down that back straightaway, but I decided to not take Kevin Harvick 3 wide down into turn 3, as I just wasn't quite confident enough in the car to make a 3 wide move of the inside of Kevin Harvick, so I decided to just kind of play it cautious there now as we come through turns 4. So Alex Bowman putting the pressure on Denny Hamlin. Bowman has been leading the Hendrick Motorsports Club this whole season, and he continues to do so. There's actually clipped the wall on the exit of turn 4 as we come through down the straightaway to complete the first and opening lap of this second stage here in Indianapolis. Now as we have a chance to get to the inside of our teammate of Kevin Harvick, and sure enough we hop on that opportunity as we come through the center of the corner heading down this short stretch. And obviously now moving forwards, we passed Harvick, we had gotten to the inside of Kyle Busch, we had passed the 18 of Kyle Busch with no problems at all, and then settled in behind the 2 of Keselowski. But once again, kind of as things started to progress, I found it harder to pass as the green flag run went on, and then the handling on the car started to slip away again there as I go to the inside of Keselowski down into turn 3 behind the 9 of Chase Elliott. They're touching that apron again, and Keselowski hangs on to the position there as I was just having such a tough time making passes once we got more spread out now as we came through on lap 7 of 11 in the second stage down into turn 3. This time I was just trying to kind of push Keselowski, because you see the back end once again is starting to slip out as we go through on the exit of the corner. So now the caution actually comes out, and Kyle Busch behind us brings the caution out, it looks like, so he decides he has to pit. So now we know Kyle Busch probably not going to win this race, now as we would actually stay up and get ready to go right back into the action as the green flag is out. This would leave just 2 laps to go here in the second stage. Kyle Larson currently not within a stage point paying position, so this is exactly what William Byron wants to see, but Larson's on that inside lane, so he definitely has an opportunity to maybe cycle through to get some stage points as we look to the inside of the 22 of Joey Logano for Penske Racing as we come out of turns 2, slipping and sliding again as Denny Hamlin leads away over second place of Kurt Busch, who's been showing a lot of speed here today in Indianapolis. Now as we clear Keselowski down towards turn 3 as we send it up the inside of Joey Logano, once again trying to make the pass happen on him now as we're starting to just, like I said, slip and slide a little bit here and there, and that makes the passing so hard now as it came through on the final lap of the stage. Hamlin still leading as I go a little bit deep into turns 1, that allows Brad Keselowski to get to my inside, and he would be able to complete the pass as we now drop down to the 7th position in turns 2. I do the same thing, but now Almirola lunges to my inside as we exit turn 2. He's going to battle up the side-by-side as we go down the back straightaway with our Stuart Haas Racing teammate. He won earlier this season at Sonoma, locking himself into the playoffs now, as he wasn't really a factor in that whole race, but he managed to win it somehow. Now as we go down into turn 3, thankfully clearing Almirola with help from the draft there as I kind of overshot turn 3 even again, but was able to get down to that bottom before Almirola could lunge on the opportunities. He nearly gets into our back bumpers to come through turns 4 as we exit the corner, slipping and sliding a little bit there as Kurt Busch did take the lead from Hamlin on this final lap, and Kurt Busch will win stage 2 as we come through to cross the line in P7 just in front of our teammate of Eric Almirola. So a solid stage effort as the car felt a little bit better with those adjustments, but it was still getting just a little bit too loose, so I decided we're going to make once again a wedge adjustment. Kyle Larson did not get stage points, so that's exactly what William Byron wanted to see. Now as Larson will go into the final stage, 15 points behind William Byron for the last spot in the 16 playoff driver grid now, as we would make slight repairs and then bump up the wedge to 49.7. I didn't didn't want to go too much because I was afraid it would get really tight, but we had a few drivers stay out. Kyle Busch and Corey LaJoie. So Kyle Busch still in this race as we get ready to start the third and final stage here in the Brickyard 400. The green flag is back out. Corey LaJoie leads the way. And if you remember earlier in the season, Corey LaJoie was a playoff contender for the first at least 10 to 12 races or so. He was actually up there battling for that final spot, and then obviously he fell off quite a bit now as we're side by side with the two-car of Brad Keselowski, the one-time champion, behind this two-time champion we are of Joey Logano, because if you remember, Logano got his second championship last season in our career mode. Now as we go down this back straightaway, Kurt Busch kind of got held up by Corey LaJoie as him and Kyle Busch already falling back quite significantly. LaJoie, obviously we don't expect him to stay up here very long, and sure enough, he is fading back very quickly, and that held back Kurt Busch quite a bit, who seems to be the fastest car here today in Indianapolis. Now as Denny Hamlin leads over second place of Chase Elliott as we get in behind the 18 of Kyle Busch, but he shouldn't put up too much of a fight as he's definitely on older tires in the first place, as we actually gave him a bump there on the exit of the corner, and that allowed him to get some extra speed. But we're going to get back to the inside of Kyle Busch as we cross the line. We know he's got the regular season championship locked up. He's basically a Final Four lock already with the 9 wins, many stage wins. He's gotten so many poles as well, but obviously no playoff points for poles, and if there was, then he would have a whole bunch more. Now as we would clear Kyle Busch though through turns 2 and now set our sights on that 22 of Joey Logano, as Kurt Busch had gotten to the back of us now as he was already rallying his way back forward after being held up by Corey LaJoie, as we lunged to the inside of the Penske driver of Joey Logano. Now as we go down into turn 3 side by side, but once again I was starting to struggle with the passing already now as we came through out of turn 3. A little bit of contact made with that 22 of Logano. We continued to battle side by side with him as we came through now with 11 laps to go on lap 30 of the inside through turns 1, as it's just struggling so hard to make this pass happen. But I decided this time we're going to send it into turns 2 as hard as we can, and we do make the pass on the 22 of Joey Logano, going a little wide on the exit, and then the caution comes out. So very good timing there as Kyle Busch would be coming to the pit lane, and so was Corey LaJoie. Those two did not bring out the caution, but it was because they stayed out under the last yellow. Now as we get ready to go green, and we're going to do our final crank it up of the regular season here in Indianapolis.
Still there. Still there.
Alright, there was your crank it up here in Indianapolis as we're struggling now to get past the 9 of Chase Elliott. I would continue riding behind him as we came through on lap 35, clipping that apron again as usual, and that allowed Kurt Busch to put on some pressure, but we hanged on to it right there. And then in turns 4, I make the same mistake there as I was just kind of having a habit of hitting that apron this whole race, as Kurt Busch was able to get to my inside on this front straightaway, and he obviously is the fastest car here, so I was not surprised. It was just a matter of time until Kurt Busch got past us now, and as we came through on lap 38, Kurt had passed the 9 of Elliott as I was starting to continue to struggle with the handling again. That allowed the 88 of Alex Bowman to get past, as Kurt Busch was now making a move on Denny Hamlin for the lead with just 3 laps to go here in Indy. As I'm continuing to slide on the exit of the corner, Kurt Busch takes the lead in the final laps here at Indianapolis now as we came through with just 2 laps to go, heading down towards turn 3. Logano, he gets to my inside. We make a little bit of contact there with the 22, and up the track we go. As we exit turn 2, we keep it off the wall. Thankfully, I made sure I did not slam that wall because I did not want to bring out a caution and potentially mess up Kyle Larson or William Byron in the playoff situation. Now as we're approaching the final lap here in the Brickyard 400, but the caution comes out with about a quarter of a lap to go, and Kurt Busch is going to have to hold off the field in an overtime here to decide the regular season playoff grid between at least William Byron and Kyle Larson. So obviously you see Byron in 24th, Larson 16th. Right now, Kyle Larson's about 8 points out going into this overtime restart. Now as the green flag is back out, Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin on that front row. Chase Elliott and his Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Alex Bowman on row 2, as can the Hendrick duo maybe pull off something here on this final restart and lunge at Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin now, as Hamlin does not have a great launch there. As we know, the handling in this car right now is not very good at the end of this race, so we're just going to be hoping that we don't cause an incident now as we're out of turns 2. Clint Bowyer looks to our inside as we go down this back straightaway. Bowyer has had so much speed here within the last handful of races in our career mode that if he keeps it up, he could be a legitimate playoff contender now, as we decided to not take it 3 wide, because I knew if I went up the inside of someone 3 wide, we were probably going to lose the back end and cause a incident. So I decided to just play it safe here as we exit turn 3. I was thinking a lot about the battle between Larson and Byron, and I didn't want to potentially do something and screw that up now, as Kurt Busch leads the way as we slide big time on the exit of turn 4, heading down this front straightaway. The white flag is in the air for the one of Kurt Busch's. We're going to give the 2 of Keselowski a huge shot now as Hamlin falls down behind Chase Elliott, and he's about to lose a spot to Joey Logano. So Elliott now up into P2. Can Chase Elliott make a move on this final lap to get win number 1 on his season, or can Kurt Busch hold on now in as we come through on the exit of turns 2 here, going way wide there, and Bowyer tries to get to my back bumper, but I don't think he has enough pace now as we have that draft from the 88 of Alex Bowman in the background aside Jimmy Johnson. Obviously, he is not going to make the playoffs for 2 seasons in a row now as we go down this back straightaway into turns 3 for the final time. Kurt Busch has never won a Brickyard 400, I don't believe, and it's about to change here if he doesn't make a mistake through turns 4 now as we enter the 4th corner for the final time. Chase Elliott in front of Joey Logano. They don't have enough as Kurt Busch, though, goes down this front straightaway for the final time. Kurt Busch is going to be a Brickyard 400 winner as we're going to come through to cross the line just behind Alex Bowman in the 88 car, and we're going to finish P7 here today in Indianapolis. We ran 7th a lot in this race now as the playoff grid is set, and there you see Kyle Larson P8. He needed to beat William Byron by 15 positions. He did not. He beat William Byron by what I think it was 6 positions. I can't remember already where Larson finished, but William Byron got P24 here today in Indianapolis. There you see our comments after the race. Solid day for us. Excited to see what the playoffs bring. And I can confirm William Byron made it into the playoffs over Kyle Larson by 8 points. So we got very close between the 24 and the 42 for that final spot. But obviously William Byron is now in his first playoffs in our career mode. And as always, if you guys did enjoy this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. There is the playoff grid. Kyle Busch got 74 playoff points. It comes into this playoff 70 points to the good in the first round. So in my opinion, Kyle Busch is an easy Final Four lock there. As you see, the 4 drivers out currently: Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Clint Bowyer. What do they all have in common? Well, none of them have a win this season. So you can see how important these wins and playoff points are going into this playoff. We're in a decent shape, similar to last season, which is a bit of a concern. We're going to need to find a way to get some wins here in the playoffs. So obviously, guys, in the next one, we'll go to Vegas for the first playoff race. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.